So, duh, 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 duh. I mean, what do you say? 1991, July 3rd. Did you see this in the?
I did not see this one in the theater.
Oh man.
I saw this one a couple of years later. I think it was 1995 I saw it.
So anyway, we're here to review T2, as we pretty much called it in 1991. I remember I have it actually on tape, which maybe I'll put. I mean, I don't have the necessarily video, but I have the audio of me sitting in August, I think, asking my dad. So we ever gonna go to T2?
What's T2?
Terminator 2.
Yeah, I said sometime.
Well, better hurry. I mean, it's gonna be out of theaters playing.
No.
Yeah, well, Rocketeer's out of the theaters. So we ever gonna see T2? And he's like, what's T2? So all of us kids called it T2. I mean, you can still call it T2.
Yeah.
But, you know, from right off the bat, it was it's T2. And this came out July 3rd, 1991, and I remember in the paper, I probably still have this, I don't know if I can dig it up or not. If I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. It said in the paper, a little ad, it said, this year the fireworks begin on July 3rd.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's not like an official tagline, it's just something just for the paper, which is, I gotta agree, that's exactly what happened. If you watch my solo Rocketeer review, you will see that, you know, that movie opened on June 21st, and that was probably I don't know for sure, but probably one of the higher viewed movies up until, unfortunately, this is one of the, if you've seen that review, I have a little bit of, I mean, it doesn't hurt the star rating or anything like that, but I'm a little, you know, mad at T2 for completely ripping off Rocketeer's business, but whatever. So, that's a side note, but anyway, so Terminator 2 came out and completely robbed Rocketeer of its business, but whatever, it's still good on Blu-ray. I'm talking about Rocketeer. So, I mean, Terminator 2, I saw this with a good friend of mine at the time, and I remember his mom brought us, and I think she watched it too, but we weren't sitting with her. And I remember on the car ride home, because on the car ride there, it's business as usual. It's like her and me and him, and we're just blah, blah, blah. I mean, she's not talking, but me and him are probably talking. On the car ride home, it was silence because we couldn't fucking talk. We didn't know. We were just like, it was probably replaying in our heads. It was just like, we couldn't talk because that's how much, I think we saw it on July 3rd. Oh, actually another one of his friends came with us. So it was three of us kids and his mom. And it was complete silence on the way home. I should probably get on the review, but I'm trying to say, I like doing that. Like if I can remember like how I first saw it, I think that's kind of cool to say. But it was just like, to make a long story short, unbelievable. I remember when the very beginning started and it showed the future, and I remember my friend saying, oh cool, it was cool to actually see that again with much more. At the time, this was the most expensive movie ever made when it came out. We should probably say that. And the opening is just, even by today's standards, it's pretty goddamn great.
Effects in this movie,
Barely,
almost all
except for some of that like rear projection stuff.
Yeah, almost everything holds up really insane.
Except for pretty much everything. It's pretty crazy. Even when he's getting shot at the end by all the SWAT, they do manage to just they don't show it. They just show it enough, and if they would have stayed on that dummy getting shot for just even a millisecond longer, it would be bad. But they show it just as little as they possibly could from day one. So Terminator 2 is beyond 4 stars. It's one of the best sequels probably ever made. And this is why, although I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to Avatar 2, but I personally don't see what the fuck personally you can do with Avatar 2.
No.
But I gotta tell you, James Cameron did it twice. He's one of the best sequel makers there are. So it's kind of like, I kind of have faith in him to come up with something. Is what it boils down to, because what he came up with for the idea for, we're not going to do it, we've already done Aliens, but I'll just say for what he came up with for the sequel of Aliens was such a meaningful, purposeful reason for a sequel, and the same can go for this. I would say maybe this isn't as strong as the sequel to Aliens, because it is like retreading the same stuff, and only instead of having Sarah, it's the son kind of thing. But he's able to touch on things that he wasn't able to touch on in the first one because it was the son. like the father stuff like that and stuff like that. To me, T2 is more of a. It might be more of a, well, I don't know. I mean, you have that behavioral, the stuff, the humanity stuff that I guess matters. But to me, when I think about it, it's more of a summer spectacle than it is, I haven't seen it for a while, but obviously it's pretty much ingrained in my brain because I've seen it a billion times. But, I don't know what I'm saying. Maybe I'm running out of steam, and maybe I'll hand it over to you. And 4 stars for me, and maybe I'll speak more. But it's just epic. It's like Texas Chainsaw. It's like these other movies. What do you say?
Mm-hmm. It's 4 stars as well. I agree. The thing that works for me isn't so much the summer spectacle. It is the hardcore morality tale of it, where it's this young kid teaching this robot to understand humans, and that sort of like this is something
that's something that wasn't explored in the first one so
at all.
I wasn't thinking of that aspect.
And that is so unique and so interesting because this is something that he's been trained to hate because it wiped out humanity. He is like in the future. He is pretty much all that is
Who's
left
trained
of
to
it.
hate John?
John, yeah. And his mother, the reaction when the mother first sees the Terminator in this is so fantastic, where she just starts running the other way.
Isn't that great?
And I thought it was really unique and creative to turn the villain of the first movie into the hero of the second movie. That was something that I don't think has ever really been done before that, and it's probably been done since then. But
Chainsaw 3D.
Yeah, but nothing to the extent of which it had been done in this one. So much so that you completely revolutionize that character in thinking that he's always a hero, which we'll discuss later. But you really don't trust him for a while until you kind of are forced to see that he is doing it all for good. And it's kind of moving when at the end of the thing, when he realizes that the ultimate way to save humanity and to avert Judgment Day is to kill himself, which is something that only a human would understand, not a robot would be able to rationalize. And that's something that he learned from John, and more importantly, he learned that from Sarah.
I know now why you cry.
Yeah.
I cannot self-terminate.
Yeah, that is so good. That whole scene, like, it's really oddly emotional for just like throwaway action movie. And the whole everything with the kid is great. And Eddie Furlong, gave an excellent performance for such a young actor. And Arnold could act in this movie. Like, he only had like 15 lines in the first movie, most of which were very clipped, like, I'll be back and stuff like that. But in this, he does more, like the I know now why you cry. Like, he puts a lot of emotion into an emotionless character, which I thought worked really, really well. And I liked what they did with Sarah Connor. She is now this psychotic, a little bit, militant character, which is so different from how you first get introduced to her. And I love the moment when she confronts herself from 1984, where she's in the same outfit as she was in the beginning of Terminator, with little John in her nightmare, 2-year-old John, and then the atomic bomb hits and wipes everything out. It was so cool when she sees herself. And if you have the director's cut, which I much, much prefer, I like scenes in that, like John teaching the Terminator how to smile. That's really funny. I love that Kyle Reese is in it.
Yeah, he was in the trailer, and we wondered why we didn't see him in the movie kind of thing.
And so I loved seeing him in the actual director's cut, which is the only cut that I watch, much like Aliens Special Edition is the only cut of that I watch. But 4 stars, it's not quite as good. There's some problems, i.e. Michael Bain says, the Terminator, it's only him and me that can go through. Meanwhile, cut to 1991, Terminator 2. There's 2 more Terminators coming. We didn't talk about Robert Patrick. Holy crap, he did amazing. He was such a menacing character with so little, but he was so memorable.
Obviously, the juxtaposition of having the good guy wear the biker clothes and the bad guy wearing cop. Yeah,
and that was kind of neat. And I also liked that the reason, like, I mean, it doesn't necessarily make sense, but the reason that history was able to send another 2 Terminators back was because the first one wasn't destroyed. They destroyed the chip, but they didn't actually destroy the evidence of the robot. So the technology was still able to be created, which is why they throw that in the end.
I forgot all about that in the first one. Like, there wasn't this time machine shit destroyed after they went through.
Yeah,
I forgot all about that.
But one would imagine that, like, once that
They
happened.
rebuilt it.
Well, no, once that happened, the first one happened, and at the end, the Terminator wasn't destroyed entirely. History retconned itself.
Well, yeah, because that one guy, Miles Dyson, got the chip or whatever.
Yeah, and there's a deleted scene in the first movie, if you have the DVD, where somebody finds the arm, and you see them taking that away at the very end. It's almost as if he had notions of doing this. And they also, there's a great scene where Linda Hamilton is talking to Michael Biehn and saying, why don't we just destroy the facilities where this computer thing is created? We can stop it from day one, from ever happening. And he's like, no, you can't just kill innocent people. And that's the entirety of what the second movie is about. That's her whole mission, is to just go and destroy the thing and destroy Miles Dyson. If you destroy that, there's no way to have Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And the son is like, no, you can't just kill him.
As long as you bring that up, the genius parallels between her becoming a Terminator, her exactly becoming a potential Terminator herself by killing this guy who is going to do so. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
She's potentially going to become a Terminator for doing something that he hasn't done but will.
Yeah.
So that's pretty okay. Forget that. See, that's why I handed it off to him, because he can remind me of what's going on. So forget only being a what did I call it?
Summer.
Yeah.
A spectacle.
Spectacle. Yeah, it's not just that. But see, I forgot all about that stuff.
And I mean, this is 4 stars. It's amazing. The pacing isn't quite as good as the first one was, but I mean, that's a minor complaint. The fact that it shouldn't exist because they said so in the first one, and the fact that the pacing is a little different, that's my only complaints. It's still 4 stars. It's a grand movie. The special effects are great. I love the liquid metal man. I loved everything about it.
Oh man, if I could find this, which I don't think I have the tape of it, but back in the very first tape, I don't know if you've ever seen this. On the very first tape of release of Terminator 2, there was this hokey ass thing before the movie started, which was like this family of being like, you can own Terminator 2, just like it's just hokey ass infomercial about. Hopefully, I'll try to. Well, like I say, I have it on tape. If I feel like it, I'll put it on here. But feel free to. Or it's something like talk to your video store about acquiring previously viewed copies of Terminator 2, and it's just hokey ass shit where it's like.
All around the world, people are asking the same question about Terminator 2.
Whoa, how did they do that? I've got to see that again.
It's the kind of movie most people want to see over and over.
Amazing.
So video retailers everywhere are offering previously viewed copies
That's great.
at a very special price.
All right, Arnold.
So go to your video store and purchase your own T2.
I insist.
Just when you thought you'd seen it all, see it again.
Trust me.
These family members like, how'd they do that? I gotta see that again. And he rewinds the liquid man like going into the helicopter, And then there's this kid who's like, Arnold's shooting a minigun, and the kid goes, "Way to go, Arnold!"
I have seen that.
Yeah. But maybe they haven't. Hopefully it's on YouTube so I can just steal it.
Now that you mentioned it, there are certain movies where like you just remember the way you first watched them, in terms of like the VHS version of this and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have like an iconic thing in the beginning where Ninja Turtles, it was the Pizza Hut commercial.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, I think you're right.
everybody, like, when they think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they think of this really lame, like, Pizza Hut commercial of a kid trying to catch a ball that just sort of falls into his hand.
What's the commercial about?
I mean, that's
it?
that's what it was. Like, he's this kid playing baseball, and you can find this on YouTube. I know that you can find it. He's playing baseball, and he's not doing very good. He's just sort of in the outfield, and the ball comes his way finally, and he's like, and he just sticks his arm up and looks away, and then all of a sudden he pulls it down and he has it in his hand, and they're like Pizza Hut, and it's just like
What
this.
does that have to do with
Yeah,
pizza?
but you have to watch it before you watch Ninja Turtles. And this,
So
it was a really crappy Subway commercial that was on the beginning of the
Oh, your
VHS.
tape?
Yeah,
Oh.
of the VHS tape before that other one that you mentioned. And like, it's just like the guy who owns Subway explaining why our food is good, and like it's just this really hokey thing. But
Wow.
whenever I think of Terminator, I also think of this really lame.
Isn't that lame? They
Yeah.
got you. That's exactly what they want. When
Yep.
you think of T2, you want to get a sub.
Yeah, pretty much. And Turtles, I mean, you always want pizza anyway, but that was
Yeah.
a genius little commercial. So anyway, Terminator 2.
Yeah, in order to save
4.
time, maybe we'll just, there's nothing, who knows what, I think we've talked about it already.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching, and Matt hasn't asked me to, but I'll just say, stay here. I'll be back.
You should have said hasta la vista, baby.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Hasta la vista, baby. Thanks for watching.